All right, what's going on? This is Richie with Seven Figure Commissions, part of the Next Play podcast, where we bring on agency owners who are looking to grow their business, become better leaders. And we've got a really, really cool topic and a really great guest today, where Jared here is going through a big transition from his previous insurance agency that he was working for into building his own agency. Currently lives in Arvada, Colorado. He's been in business for 8 years selling health insurance. And Jared, I would pronounce your last name, but it looks challenging. So how do you pronounce your last name?
It's definitely a good old Polish name. It's Kwasniewski.
Kwasniewski. Ooh, I
Yes.
like that. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for being on the show, man.
Yes, of course. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Yeah. So, and for everyone listening right now, look, if you have any questions, make sure to throw them in the chat. We're going to be diving deep into Jared, his new insurance agency that he's building it, how he's growing it, and come up with some ideas and things that he can do to do it efficiently, quickly, and to stay on the right path and to, of course, develop the people on his team. So, Jared, let's just start here, man. Real quick context. Tell me about the new insurance agency that you've got going on right now. Like where is it in its stage? How many people are a part of it?
So right now, we're at the beginning stages.
And this is, by the way, for everyone listening, it's Resolute Insurance is the new insurance agency. So go ahead.
Right. Resolute Insurance. So we are transitioning from Integra over to Resolute. And right now it's at the beginning stages of just creating a website. Everything that deals with communication, from a VoIP system to a CRM, to Office 365. Right now, we're just building that, just the framework of our agency about communication, of course, towards our clients. And so what I'm doing is I'm taking all of my clients from Integra and just moving them over to Resolute. Nothing changes for the client, but everything behind the scenes of how to communicate, what the database is and what all that is. Right now, we're just deciding on which route is the best, which can get complicated, right? There's so many systems out there, right? And trying to figure out the right one for your new agency, it's a task, but that's the process where we're at right now.
For sure. Okay. And how many people are currently a part of the new agency?
There will be 5 of us. So 4 agents and 1 admin.
Okay. And the 4 agents, are they also transitioning with you, or are they new, or?
Correct. Well, so 3 of them actually are family. So me, my wife, and my dad. We're transitioning all of our clients from Integra over to Resolute.
Okay.
And then I have a new young salesman who I actually just ran into him helping move a friend, and he was telling me about his life. And I'm like, I'm starting a new agency. Come on. He was actually a door-to-door salesman.
Yeah.
So he's
very familiar with that.
Yeah. So he's been through the ringer, and I'm going, this is a different kind of sales. It's not as rigorous as door-to-door.
Right.
And you could just tell he has it, right? He has that niche. He wants to go. He wants to get out there. And so he's jumping on with us. And what he's doing right now is actually just getting contracted and licensed through the state.
Got it. Okay. So he's going through the whole licensing procedure right now. Okay. All right. So right now, a couple different moving parts, right? There's 3 people that are agents that are doing the sales, including yourself. You got 1 person coming on, going through the training. What do you want this company to look like? Are you going to plan on being the leader? Like, who's going to lead the sales team? What is that going to look like?
That would be me. I'm definitely going to lead the sales team, and I do want to grow. There's a lot of opportunity in the health insurance world, especially in Colorado. And I definitely want to grow. I'll be leading the charge, if you will, especially with John, the new guy who's coming up. And eventually I'll hopefully grow to a point where I'll just be the lead guy for most. That would be my job, is to lead a group of sales individuals. That. Yeah. Into like later down the road. That's what I'm going to be. That's what I hope.
Gotcha. Got it. So right now, building out the foundation, you got a couple people, family members that are producing with you. and bringing new people on, but your what would be the right word? Your next level is moving into that sales leadership role, building a sales team, and of course building up the agency, and all the things that come along with it on the customer service side, the sales side, because eventually someone's got to run all the different, departments that will make up your agency, right?
Correct. And that is where, that's a difficult situation for me of I have a problem, and I know a lot of people have the problem is delegating. I can't run it all, right? I have to be able to delegate and get it out there, and I want to concentrate more on sales and that's one reason why we're hiring an admin, is to take care of a lot of the other stuff that I don't want to deal with. But you are right, is growing, and then how do I separate myself from everything and make it to where I can trust somebody to take care of the small stuff comparatively, and I just focus on helping others be successful. Right?
Yes.
How to be successful, where to be successful. And if I'm busy doing other things over here and not concentrating on my team, that won't be good for the Resolute insurance. That's for sure.
Love it. Okay. I love where your mind's at, man, and where you're going with this, because it's definitely the right way. So then let me ask you a question. So how do you put yourself in a position where you can do what you're best at, leading the sales team, right? Like what do you need to put in place in some of these other areas in order to allow yourself to do that?
I believe systems, right?
Yes. Good job, man. I love
that. Yeah. I believe systems, and that's why I'm struggling right now is finding the right system for like CRM, right? Is I want to be able to make sure that this is correct, where I don't have to waste seconds on like very automated situations where it can be easily taken care of, like sending emails out and all that. But systems where I can create from where like simple automations or anything outside where it's going to give me more time towards my sales team, and to be able to delegate those systems. I'm going to have my hand in developing the systems, but I have to be like my wife. I have to be able to like, here, you take care of this, let's say small group, right? You are the leader of small group, and here's the system, you deal with it. But I believe like I'll have a hand in creating the systems to help with time management, right? How am I going to focus more on getting my sales teams out there and better themselves and not have to worry about the small stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what you're saying there, as far as putting systems in place, is the key, right? And then putting the right people in place to execute those systems. So do you have so you're bringing on a new salesperson. So do you have sales systems in place right now, or is your dad and this got weird, your dad and your wife, kind of just they've been doing their thing for a while and they're just kind of doing their thing? Or do you have systems in place for sales?
I do not. And actually I'm creating that right now. Because John's not able to, he's wet behind the ears. He's not able to sell anything yet because he still doesn't have his license. And
this is the new person, right?
This is the new person. Everybody else, like they've been doing it for Stephanie, my wife, who's been doing it for 8 years. She doesn't need any help. My dad has been doing it for 3. I've been helping him through Integra, but there hasn't been a layout of a system where I need to create, especially if we're bringing somebody new on, to make it easier for them.
Right.
So I'm creating that right now. And as I said, this is everything, the switch and everything's going to be full-fledged in 2024. So I still have some time to create them, but I definitely need to create a system. Now, along with those systems is my technology. And that's what I'm building right now. And then I can make it easier to build those systems through like Office 365 is SharePoint, right? And so I'm going to have SharePoint where I'm going to have folders and everything for all my new sales individuals that come on for them to just here, this is this, and this. But I still haven't created that.
Well, I mean, you got, yeah.
Yes.
So how does, so I think we might even need to take a step back, right? Because there's so many moving parts right now. So
There's so many.
how are you staying, like, how are you organizing your activities by priority and then staying focused? Do you feel like there's some area there that, like, how are you currently doing that?
Well, as a system, right, is I do have a checklist of things that I need to get done for the week, and then the things I need to get done like today. Like today, I have 3 checklists I have to get done. One is talking to the state about contracting in my EIN, and then talking to my bank. And the other one is just what is it? Talking to the Department of Insurance about contracting on that. But that's a list I have to check off, and I'm getting that done today. But then I also have another list that I give myself about 3 or 4 hours a day is taking care of my current clients. And I have a Calendly link, and so I have a window of about 3 hours where they can schedule their own meeting or do whatever, and I take care of my clients because I can't forget about them in this process.
Right.
So I have two systems that I'm doing day to day. Is one is I have half the day is figuring out what I'm doing for Resolute, and then the other half is taking care of my clients.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
What about sales?
So, clients and sales. So a lot of what I'm dealing with right now is, let me phrase. So clients and sales. So I have from 1 to 4, I have 2 new clients that I'm taking care of. That they're about a half hour meeting. And so I'm concentrating on sales. Now in the health insurance industry, as I told you earlier, is one, word of mouth is huge. These two clients are word of mouth. But the other thing is about 75% of our business is done during open enrollment. Outside of open enrollment, it's much slower. So I don't need the full day to do all sales, right? Where open enrollment comes around, I'm working from about 6 o'clock in the morning to about 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Give or take. Right. So that's really where the sales really drives is during that open enrollment.
Got it. Okay. So with all of this going on, I'm just curious from you, like, what's the goal this year? Like, what would, in an ideal world, what does your new agency look like, January 2024?
Actually, I'm putting a earlier date on myself. I'm giving 2024. That's the date that everything needs to be implemented, from my systems to everything like that. By September, the end of September, I want to have all of my agency and my new technology, everything in place and running correctly, right? So when you're in this health insurance world, I have about 25 to 30 1099s from different carriers. So you're getting paid from all these different areas. Now, does that always work with contracting and everything like that? So I have to have that. I want that ready by the end of September. All my technology, everything that I'm doing with Office 365, my new CRM, all done and working togetger.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean by that? Like,
for sure. I do understand.
Is being able to, and it's such a, I'm going to be honest right now. Right now, it's a disaster. It's a mess. I have to be able to get it all done. And really, honestly, it's training, trying to understand it.
Yeah.
Creating all these systems, and just, I want it done. And then by 2024, everything in place so we can just concentrate on sales and growing.
So for the next 6 months or so, you're not really going to be focusing at all on, I mean, you have some referral clients coming in, but you're not focusing on sales over the next 6 months or so.
It depends. Or are you? I am, in a way, with John.
Okay. That's the new guy?
That's the new guy. So what I'm doing with him right now is And this takes more. This is another time I'm taking him to marketing events. I'm taking him to, BNIs or TIP
Yeah.
or Chamber of Commerce, doing all that stuff. So he's starting to
Yeah.
to understand it. And then the hard part is with my website. It takes a while for SEO and all that to kick in.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, SEO for health insurance on a website is going to take more than a while.
Yeah.
It's going to take a long time.
So it takes a long time. So that sales part right there is going to be harder, right? Is getting leads and everything through my new website.
Mhm.
This is brand new, so the SEO, that's going to take a while. But getting him out there, I'm still doing that.
But what about for your wife and your dad? Are they also going to be generating new business like the new salesperson will be?
No. What they'll be doing right now is the word of mouth, is just dealing with their clients.
Yeah.
And they're actually okay with that.
Okay.
I know that sounds weird. Is my dad doesn't want to be where I'm at. He's in his golden years. He's like, I'm good where I'm at. I don't need any really more. And then I'm at capacity. Having that many clients and trying to get them done in 45 days is almost near impossible.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm bringing on new people to spread that wealth out.
Okay. Are you going to pass some of your clients to John?
Yeah, I have to. During open enrollment, I'm going to.
Okay.
And the reason why is I don't want to lose. I could be one of those guys that's just saying, give it all to me. I don't want to lose what I've been able to give my clients and keep giving them, is that personal touch.
Yeah.
And being able to always contact me. If I get too big, I'm going to lose that. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to lose that. I think that's my niche, is, you know what I mean, by growing too much.
Yeah. When you say growing too much, like you specifically having too many, you call them belly buttons? Is that
belly buttons? Yeah.
Belly buttons. For you specifically, or because you can have lots of agents who have lots of people, you know what I mean?
No, just me specifically. And that's why I want to grow.
Yeah.
So I want to grow through other agents and have them grow.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about that, because you're dealing with the technology and making sure it's all communicating well together and your phone system's in place and all that stuff. But in the meantime, you still got John, and we got to get him producing, right? So what's your plan as far as, you're not going to throw up a website and get a bunch of leads in day one? Like, it's just not, you know, that doesn't work that way. Yeah. So what's your plan for him to get ramped up? Like, because you're going to be really busy. You've got this. How are we going to get, it seems to me like that might be a good place to take this conversation, because you could still have new business coming in while you're servicing your current clients. Your dad and your wife are servicing clients, and you're getting, the business foundation set up.
Right. Right now, with him is the marketing. Because remember, all the agents are 1099s. They're their own business. It's whatever they put into it, right? But what I'm getting him out there to marketing himself, especially in Colorado, there's not a lot of people who do individual sales. What individual is going to like Connect for Health or getting a subsidy through Obamacare and all that. So he just needs to get his face out there and get his cards. We already got cards for him. Get his cards out there. I do have a lead source from the exchange from Colorado. Both my wife and I do have that. And it's just what they do is and I'm going to give them to John. So he's going to be able just to take those leads from Connect for Health, which they're reaching out to brokers for them to help them. Mm-hmm. So they're amazing. They're not leads, they're more referrals than anything. But right now, that's all I have for him, is getting his face. And that's how I grew, was just getting my face out there, talking.
Does he need to have a certain amount of income in the first few months, or is he planning on knowing that, hey, like, it's going to take time before, if he's a fully commissioned agent. Like it's going to take him time to build his book.
That's what's the hardest thing about this business. When I first started, I just got back from New York City and I was living with my parents, so I didn't have any bills. And he knows this. He's perfect for this. He's in the kind of the same situation where this is all 100% commission based, right? And it takes time. And what you just said is building your book, and it's residual income, and you just build, and build. But the first 2 or 3 years, it's not, especially now, it's not the greatest moneymaker, if you will. So it's tough. It's just, you just got to grind for those first 2 or 3 years. And then, of course, you get to a point where it's residual income and go play golf, have some fun.
So your plan with him, is to basically just teach him as much as you can about marketing. What about sales? What about helping him close the deals?
So, which is great about our industry. Like my closing rate right now is like right now it's 99%. I don't remember the last time. So when our industry is, we're more of a guide than a sales man. So what he's got to learn in this industry, which is different than what he's used to, is how you create relationships. And it's when you create a relationship, not trying, it's not a hard close or anything like that. You're creating a relationship with somebody to have them trust you, because we're talking about their health and everything like that. And when you're able to create that, because people are actually searching you out, because the healthcare industry is so dang confusing. That's why I found we're more of a guide. And when they come to you and you create that relationship with them, however you do it, everybody's different, right? You got to be a chameleon. You got to change from a 23-year-old to a 65-year-old. Is how do you create that relationship? And that will in turn into sales. It's a little different than having to hard close somebody doing door-to-door salesman. Kind of follow me?
For sure. I mean, I get it. The whole consultative relationship, like you got to have a relationship with them. You need to be almost like a doctor that's understanding all their needs and their challenges and prescribing them what the best plan options are going to be. Right.
Right.
So how do you help him develop that skill set? Because that is a skill set, right? Like, how do we help him get really good at doing a discovery? How do we help him get really good at understanding the needs and being able to prescribe plans and options that would be relevant and a good fit that would help them to make a decision and enroll?
Right. Great question. Is because everybody's different, right? And how do you teach them that is, well, one, you got to know what you're talking about. People can see right through you, right? So I have to really dig deep into the policies and the plans and what they are, so he knows what he's talking about. That's first and foremost. And then, because if he doesn't know what he's talking about, especially Medicare individuals, they'll look right through you and be like, I'm out of here. You got to be able to answer those questions. Boom, boom, boom. And it takes a while to get there, right? It takes a little bit. So that first, you just got to have him know it like the back of his hand. And how to create that is I do a lot of mock, sales calls with him. I'll call him up, and what we'll do is, all right, today, my name is Will, and I have a family of 5, and this is my situation. And so you can just keep going through it, and I just change it because honestly, out of those 15 or whatever 100 I have, everybody's different. So you're going to cross so many. So really to know the product very well, as you said, and then I have him listen to me a lot with my sales calls. I have him just listen to what I say.
Is that what he's already? Is he already doing these role plays and listening to you and all that?
Yeah, so he's listening to me. We've done a couple role plays. I actually told him what I want is to do at least 1 or 2 a day, the role plays. We haven't gotten to that point yet, but he's listening to all my sales calls, how I talk to individuals and what I'm saying, and I want him to pick up on the certain things about the insurance policies themselves, so he can kind of replicate it and then take it on his own. Now this is the system, right? I have this whole idea that I'm the best, right? So I think I am. I'm really good at what I do. It's just I can't push. I know everybody's different. And how do I implement my way of thinking towards sales, towards him, to help him understand it's not about certain aspects that he's already used to with, closing and doing all this stuff. I have to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
I have to play through what, I want him to listen to me, but I also want him to figure it out on his own, because that's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
Is just have that knowledge and figure out what's your gift towards this, because as you said, it's a certain skill set that not everybody's good at this. Not everybody.
Yeah.
You know what? You're going to get calls left and right about complaining and how you deal with it. And so I don't know. I mean, that's where we're at right now.
Yeah. And as a sales leader for you, John's performance, would you say, is it your responsibility to ensure and to help him perform at the highest possible level?
Yes.
Okay. So with that being said, it is a relationship business. However, there's best practices that you've put in place, Jared, that you do that's probably across the board, that would work for anybody and anybody's personality, right? Things that must be in place in order to help someone move through the process. So would you say it's fair? Would you say it's fair to say that would probably be a good starting point for you, because you can role play until you're blue in the face and you can have someone listen to your call recordings? But would you say it's fair to say, like, hey, let's figure out what are the common things that I do no matter what in every call? Could be certain questions that are being asked, certain like things that are being said on the front end of the call, certain ways that you're transitioning them into the options. Like, what are those things, Jared, that you're doing on every call that we could take a step back and start building out a sales, and we'll just say a sales system for the call itself, not the follow-ups and all that's just the call itself. How can we break down that session into components and then figure out what are those components that must be in place, that if they're missing will cause objections to come up on the back end, or that would change the process itself? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. There are, because you are right. There are certain things you need to ask, and that you need to every time, or it will go bad.
Right.
For example, who are your doctors? What are your prescription drugs? And these need to be asked. How's your health? Where do you live? But those kind of questions, doesn't matter how they need to be asked, and that needs to be on the phone call no matter what, to try to generate where they're going, because there's 131 different plans.
Right.
And so how are you going to get one client down to 5? And it's really those questions.
Yeah.
So is where and why and how are you using your health care? I mean, and you'll get the questions. Is, all right, so how's your health? Oh, we're very healthy. I go once a year sometimes. Comparatively, I go twice a month. I need this, and this, and this. Mm-hmm. And those are those basic questions that do need to be asked.
Right. Relationships are built through amazing questions.
Yeah.
Like one thing someone said to me a long time ago, and I'll never forget it: people buy from people. Excuse me. When someone understands your problem, they'll let you solve it. And so the better questions that you're asking and knowing which questions to ask, how you're asking them, that's building the relationship. That's rapport. That's them being like, dang, Jared knows what he's talking about. And I can tell by what he's asking me, you know? And so, yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, man. And I think like, if we look at John, how can we, what can we put in place to start to give him the best possibility to succeed, and then we can build all the other stuff around it. What are you sending before the call? What are you know, what does your follow-up system look like? What are your, like, all the different things outside of the call? But based on what you're sharing with me, it might be advantageous to start with the call itself and what are the questions that need to be asked, and then we could figure out, okay, well, what does the transition look like? How are you positioning the plans and opportunities? And then you do see what I'm saying? We could break it into stages. So, so how do you feel about that as a next play from here? Is just, and you could even have John maybe do this and say, hey, John, listen to these three, and you know, you could send him 3 of your best calls and just say, can you write down the questions that are common amongst all 3 of these? What are the questions that I'm asking that are the same along all 3 of those? And getting him to write those down and give those to you, and you start finagling and creating basically a script, but without the wording, just questions. What are the questions that we have to ask? And then coaching him and holding him accountable to execution of that. What are your thoughts on that? As a, you know, still do the role play, still do the calls, but what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, is to see where he's getting at. I like that. Yeah, where what I mean, because they are, and as you mentioned that, I asked those exact same questions every single call, no matter what. You have to. It's if you don't, you're right. So I do like that. What do you hear every time I talk? I like that.
Here's 3 calls. What are the questions that I'm asking? What are the same questions I asked on all 3 of these calls? Write those down. Let's talk about it. You know, because like, and then he'll learn how you ask those. And the other thing is, like, over time, he'll get better at, because you'll ask a question and then you might your next question might be based on that answer, right? But at least there's a starting point, or here are the things you have to ask. And I bet you do this naturally, Jared, where you ask certain things that prevent objections or things happening at the end of the call that would have happened if you didn't. And those are the ones that we've got to get onto that document.
Correct. And it's very important, because you'll be getting a call later if you don't ask those questions.
So every play's got to have a what, how, and a when, right? So the what, it sounds to me, is going to be, and do you feel like it's good that John does this and he writes the questions and then you sit together and go over them and you could build upon them or remove some of them? But do you think it would be good for him to go through it and create the doc, or would you want to do it?
Create like for himself, just to try to figure out what questions.
Yeah, just a Microsoft. You said you use 360, right? Just a Word doc, you know.
Oh,
just
yeah.
List the questions on that doc. Do you you want him to do it, or do you want to do it?
I think it would be better for him to do it. And then, of course, if he doesn't get it up, I'm here to coach him, right?
Totally.
And yes, but what about this, that's, and that's if he doesn't get all the questions that I ask. Yeah, for him to do it would be great. Just for him to think a little bit.
Yeah. Just be like, hey, man, I'm here. I'm going to coach you. I'm going to role play with you. But I think a next best step would be, I'm going to share with you, he's already got the call recordings, but say, hey, here's 3 really good calls. I think a good step for you is making sure that we're asking all the right questions that are going to help you at the end. Right. So, what I like for you to do is listen to the calls and find the questions that I'm asking consistently across the calls, and then go ahead and just throw them on a Word doc. And then when we meet one-on-one next, let's review that document, and I can help you shape it, add, remove, refine it, and really set you up for success. So you have a repeatable system every time, and you're not just like going off the whim.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I love that. That's a good system too. It's good. I think that's trained when you have them do it themselves. I think they put a little bit more effort into it and try to
Agreed.
figure out what's going on.
They just have to know why. Like, why am I doing this,
Well,
Jared?
yeah, you tell me
It-
this, but I don't get it. Yeah, I completely get you.
I would be, John, I want you to have a repeatable system with a predictable ability to enroll clients.
Yeah,
And this is the first step.
yeah, for sure. I think that'd be great.
Okay, cool. Awesome. I love that, man. So we have a what, how, and a when. And when are you gonna assign this to John by?
That's a good question. So right now, that's a great question. Where am I at in the process of everything? And where is he at? I think I'll give it. I could give him something uh, soon and have him done by next week, probably. See if he figures it out.
Yeah, I think a week is plenty.
Yeah,
Because he's not doing any sales right now, right?
no. He's just trying to figure things out and go through the contracting process, which is it's quite rigorous, though. Our exchange it's hours of studying.
Dang.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. We have to do it every year. It's not fun.
Sounds like a blast, man. Cool. Awesome. Well, listen, man, I really enjoyed this conversation a lot. It's nice to hear your agency. I think you're doing so many things right. You got a fun road ahead of you,
Yeah.
starting something new, and getting everything in place. But I think it's awesome that you're doing it and you're building something that's something important to you. And, you're making that leap. And I think that's awesome. So, Jared, congratulations. I feel like you have a good little play here from this podcast, but I really appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you, Richie. I appreciate having me and it's great. It was great to be on the show.
Awesome, man. Cool. Good stuff.